All right, we are officially live across LinkedIn, across X, across YouTube. Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for tuning in to the next episode of the Estate Planning Expert Series, where I interview financial advisors who are making estate planning a bigger part of their practice. And today I'm joined by Matthew Ricks. He is the founder of Haystack Financial Planning. He's also a CFP, and he works with families who have loved ones with developmental disabilities. So today is a really important topic that I'm excited to dive into. And Matt, you help everyone in your practice, you help your clients navigate complex planning decisions with clarity, with care, with true compassion based on who your target market is. And you help them with long-term stability, protecting essential benefits, and you truly empower these families to move forward with confidence and all the challenges that come along with it, with having loved ones with disabilities. So I just want to start off by saying thank you. We don't see this very common in the space of financial planning, and I love that you've built a niche out of it. So thank you and welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. I appreciate it.
And where are you dialing in from, Matthew?
So I am in snowy Syosset, New York on Long Island.
Oh yeah, definitely snowy.
Yep.
All right. A little different than the weather here in Tampa, but that's okay. I like the snow too. I miss the snow.
Yeah.
So, okay, you work with families who have loved ones with developmental disabilities. So, from your perspective, I want to hear from you what makes the topic of estate planning important and especially nuanced in these types of situations with your clients.
Yeah. Well, just like estate planning in general, right? A lot of it has to do with the family dynamics,
Mm.
right? Dealing with the disabled community, right? Am I talking to a parent where it's a child with a disability,
Mm.
right? Are they themselves disabled, right? Are they caring for a loved one, whether it's a brother, sibling, sister, right? Parent, cousin, whomever it might be, right? Same as kind of, quote unquote standard estate planning, right?
Yeah.
All that stuff is in play. There's just all these, as you mentioned, these different levels, right, of complexity and intricacy that goes into it when you factor in some of this.
Do you find as you start working with your clients, like most of them already have an estate plan or they know it's important, but they haven't started it? Like, how's that conversation around those with disabilities?
Yeah. So when it is a parent with a child, typically they have stuff in place,
Mm.
right? Whether that's a guardianship or, they have an idea, right, where they need to formalize it. Um, I find it's those that are caring for a sibling or a parent where it's kind of new or a surprise, where
Mm.
they are the ones where it's a little bit more of a scramble
Mm.
to get documents and to get everything in place.
Yeah. And I know a lot of what you do is to help unscramble that, right? And give them something tangible and yeah, that they can walk forward with and feel confident with. Estate planning is important for everyone, right? But especially with those with disabilities or loved ones with disabilities. So I'm curious when a client mentions a child or a family member with a disability, how does that change the way that you approach planning conversations or how should advisors even like approach these types of planning conversations, whether estate or financial, really the full planning conversation?
Yeah, the biggest thing, right, when it comes to disabilities are the benefit programs,
Mm.
right? So, I feel my role in the entire conversation, right? If they're receiving the SSDI, the SSI, right, Medicaid, something like that, my job is not to screw it up,
Mm.
right? That's job number one because these programs, once you kind of lose your benefits, getting back on them is not a simple task,
Yeah.
right? So understanding kind of the qualifications and you know the barriers, right, and the all the things that's necessary, right, is essential. So if I'm working with a parent and it's a family where multiple children, one of them has a disability, right, one of them's receiving SSDI, okay, well I know that's right, you know, income based versus asset based kind of qualification standards, right?
Mm.
Okay, are they a minor child, right? That's a different than if they're above
Right.
18, right? Are they living on their own? They living at home, right? All this different, again,
Mhm.
qualifications, right, for these benefit programs. Um, where a lot of clients, right, are wealthy in their own right, where they have the means, but hey, we pay these
Yep.
taxes, we pay all this money into these programs for the benefit of getting able and the ability to use it. So that's kind of job number one.
Yeah. Yeah, I really admire that. I think it's important. I think you said it beautifully, right? Like so many of these families, they might already have an income, a stable income, working with you on planning, but we always want to tap into what we can, right? What additional resources are there to us and for us, and disabilities is on one hand when you think about even people that are caregiving for a growing parent or an older parent, like that's another area where they need to tap into those resources even if they already have some of that financial stability. So I really admire that that's where you go with them, is let's look at all of your options. Now, in your practice, you use technology as most advisors do today, but I would consider you one of the more tech forward financial advisors. You work with us at Trust and Will. We are a technology platform built to support the estate planning process for your clients. So, how do you feel using technology helps you better support these families, especially with disabilities, right? A very emotional or maybe even overwhelming topic and process for you.
Well, the first thing is a lot of technology is more accessible, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing.
Right.
That's why I utilize a lot of what I
Yep.
do is because, if someone has a hearing disability or a sight disability, right, the technology naturally, a lot of them have the accessibility features built into them.
Mm.
So that's a key reason why I use so much tech,
Yep.
rather than mailing client paperwork back and forth. It's not always efficient, number one, but also this is more accessible, right? So that's a key part of it. Again, trying to work with the community and meet them right where it's better suited for them, and to make it an easier process all around,
Yeah.
right? So that's first thing. Second thing with the tech, it's just the majority of people are more comfortable utilizing technology for a lot of different aspects these
Mm.
days. I've been an advisor for 12 years now, right? If you told me at the beginning of those 12 years, I could work with someone on an estate plan without actually getting into a room face to face with an attorney, I'd be like, "Whoa, like, is this real?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of back alley are we going to? Is this a real legitimate legal document?"
Hmm.
But just, the nature of our world has changed where technology has just become more and more prevalent. So it's easier to utilize and more people trust it, right? Where they understand that behind these platforms, there are legitimate people, legitimate, in, Trust and Will's case, right? Legitimate legal
Yep.
documents that benefit them.
Yep. And an attorney network that they can tap into, right,
Correct.
to back it up even further. I agree.
Yep.
And even though, you feel this way, like there's still so many advisors out there who don't even tap into this yet, and who don't know that this really exists. This is part of the goal of our show, is to drive awareness, because we truly feel financial advisors should be at the heart and center of helping their clients get their estate plans done, but of course without getting in trouble, right, without unauthorized practice of
Of
law.
course.
I think what technology is doing is it's actually helping these families get the plan done, right, versus just talking about them. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and it's also a good starting point, right?
Mm.
A lot of times, especially when we're working with special needs trusts or these like the complexities, or if they businesses, right? It's super complex, right? The platform not fully robust in some of those areas just yet,
Hmm.
right? So I always say, look, this is a great place to just get things
Yep.
started, right? Let's just make sure you have a
Yeah.
POA for medical decisions, a POA for financial decisions,
Yeah.
right? Some of the very basics. It's like, okay, then we can at least take those documents and go to someone that specializes with SNTs, right? Where we can get maybe because of the nature of the complexities,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Um, and it's again the barrier is a lot lower where it's like, hey, you're scrolling, you're watching, Big Brother tonight. Take the laptop out, take the iPad, the phone, go through, put in your info, right?
Yep.
Answer some of the questions, have the conversation at your leisure,
Yep.
right? Versus the, hey, it's a 3 p.m. meeting, it's going to be an
Mhm.
hour, right? It's
It's
different. right,
Friction.
is more
Yeah.
convenient. Yeah.
Less friction. When there's less
Yeah.
friction, less barriers, we're more apt to actually getting something done. So I like the way that you position that. And I think, again, there's so many more advisors out there that could really be tapping into technology to help them with this and help their clients with it. So my next question is going to be two-part, because usually I wrap the episode with a question on advice for advisors about estate planning and technology. But before we get to that one, I want to just come back to the disabilities, because again, I think this is such a powerful niche that you've built, and it's important for advisors who may not work exclusively with families affected by disabilities. What's one mindset shift or question that they can start bringing into their client conversations to better serve families with disabilities?
So I think I've talked with a lot of advisors where, for lack of a better word, they dabble, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll come across a family with disabilities or a loved one with disabilities, right? But they certainly don't want to restructure their business to focus on it, right?
Yeah.
Where they want to help, right? And they know the family or the individual needs help, right? And you don't know what you don't know,
Yep.
right? So the biggest thing I would say to them is don't just wing it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Find someone that could be right. There are plenty of great online resources now. Um, I've talked to a number of advisors who have reached out where they're like, "Hey, I just need a quick 101 on name your topic," right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm happy to just help out where I can. Um, and with that, I usually tell people, look, the planning for this community is not that different than standard financial planning. You're adding the emotional complexities with some of
Mm-hmm.
this,
Yep.
right? Certainly. You're adding the benefit complexities with it, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's still goal and objective planning,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Some of the levers and some of the time frame, but it's still that.
That's great advice. And if you're following us now on this interview, you can connect with Matthew on LinkedIn or X or YouTube if you ever have any questions about this. And again, I think that's great advice: is don't just wing it. Let's approach this properly. And connecting with your network, tapping into your network, as you know, Matthew, is wonderful to do. So you and I were just on a call together earlier for the AGC community, which is an advisor community you're part of, and I'm part of, and we all kind of tap in and we support each other. That's what advisors are here to do. It's not just competition, right? So I love advisors that take on the mindset of I want to better serve clients of this nature, or I want to better just serve all of my clients and build out a more comprehensive practice. We lean on each other for these things. So that rolls me right into my last question, Matthew, which is on the point of talking to an advisor right now who has not started offering estate planning. Maybe they're thinking about it. Maybe they're hesitant. What would you say to them to help them see the value in this and actually take action with it?
Yeah. Similar to what we talked about before, right? The value is the simplicity of it, right? And the accessibility of it, where, a lot of clients getting them in a room with an attorney, or usually what happens in that you make recommendations and you hand it off. And then is it getting done? Do I need to check in? At least, right? With the trust and wills and the technology, you can be as much or as little of the
Mm-hmm.
process as you want to be,
Mm-hmm.
where you will get and understand where they're at in that process, right? So you can continue to follow up and provide the client service that a lot of people expect out of us as financial planners, where we position ourselves as kind of this umbrella, right? Where we look at everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where if we're just pushing it off to someone and it's like, okay, out of my hands, right? If you do it, great. If you don't, I made the recommendation, right?
Yep.
The trust and will, the technology, that stuff helps actually keep things moving, because
Yeah.
you can check in and be like, oh, I see, the Smiths, oh, well, they've only done one part of the intake. Okay, let me follow up with them and see if they have any questions,
Yep.
right? Or is there something holding them back from continuing it? Is it they can't agree on the guardian of the kids kind of thing, where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't really help there, but
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's move on. Can we get some other stuffs done? At least get some things in place, and not just kind of have a big roadblock
Yeah.
um, for progress.
Yeah, as we like to say, right? You become sort of the quarterback of the entire estate planning process, and I think that's a great place to be in, especially if you're already you have the relationship, you have the
Mhm.
conversations, you're meeting the children, the children's children. You really are at the heart of it all, and I think that's wonderful advice for everyone who's listening. Matthew, thank you so much for coming on and sharing a little bit about your process, your perspective, and thank you again for serving a group of people who are often overlooked. I appreciate your thoughts and takes on accessibility. I think that is such an important word, especially as we move ahead, right? Times have changed. We find more and more people with disabilities, and we all need to do our part. You're certainly doing yours. If you're in our audience right now and you're an advisor and you're thinking about trust and will, estate planning, you have questions, comments, concerns, feel free to scan the QR code here at the bottom of the screen, or you can just head over to trustandwill.com/advisors to learn more about how we can support you to support your clients in their estate planning process. And Matthew, thank you so much again. I look forward to our next meetup.
All
Take
right.
care.
Sounds